"Thank you, Diana. I found my path." These words came from a king, not a man in love. King Charles III, who once broke royal rules for Camilla, now faces a painful truth. He chose the wrong woman. A long-lost cassette tape surfaced, playing Diana's voice, soft and broken. She spoke to him, delivering a message that deeply unsettled him. He can no longer hold on to illusions or make excuses. In a bold move, Charles cut Camilla off and took away her royal privileges. The world saw a king admit his mistake and take action for the first time. What was on that tape that affected Charles so profoundly? And why did he abandon Camilla so suddenly? The answers are coming. The letter that ignited the storm. In July 2025, King Charles III sat quietly in his private library at Buckingham Palace. The soft glow from a desk lamp lit up his weathered face. Outside, birds chirped while the wind rustled through the royal gardens. But inside, the room felt heavy, as if holding the weight of his life. A letter from Camilla, Queen of the United Kingdom, lay on the desk. The letter was sealed with the royal crest and written by an aide. It said Camilla would not attend the 50th anniversary celebration of the Royal Charitable Trust that weekend due to a busy schedule. Charles knew this was just an excuse. The brief letter hit him hard, stirring painful memories of his battles with illness and the absence of the wife he thought would support him. He set down the letter and stared at the flickering flames in the fireplace. Camilla's flimsy excuse reminded him of her detachment, how she continued to enjoy the spotlight while he struggled with his health. His hands clenched into fists as a quiet resolve grew within him. He would not let his life end in deception. He realized that cracks in his reign had become clear during his hospital stays. With his health somewhat stable but his heart still heavy, Charles knew he had to act to save his legacy. He sensed a storm brewing in his mind, and he understood that the days ahead would define not just his reign, but the man he was. Closing his eyes, Charles remembered early 2024, lying alone in a quiet room at Sandringham. Pale light came through thick curtains, casting shadows on his tired face. The hum of medical machines filled the air, a harsh sound like a heart running out of time. Cancer had taken a toll on him, turning every breath into a struggle. But the physical pain was less than the hurt in his heart. Camilla's cold absence. She didn't visit, write, or call during his extended hospital stay. Instead, she attended lavish parties in London and made polished public appearances, appearing to smile perfectly. Major newspapers praised her as a symbol of authority with headlines like "Queen Camilla, Timeless Grace." But Charles, lying in his hospital bed, understood the truth. It was all a staged performance hiding the painful fact that Camilla didn't love him. She loved the crown, the power, and the spotlight he provided. "I hurt the woman who loved me most. For what? A hollow crown?" Charles whispered, as if the words clawed their way from his soul during dark times. He reflected on a lifetime of mistakes. He reached for an old photo album on the bedside table. His fingers trembled as he flipped through faded pages, memories coming alive but haunting him. In one photo from Highgrove in the summer of 1987, Diana stood behind him, her gentle smile like the early summer sun. She didn't need the spotlight or the title. She only wanted him, the real him, not the king. But Charles had been blinded by other temptations, by Camilla's seductive whispers. In that hospital room, Camilla's image appeared sharply in his mind, always at the center, demanding attention, constantly reminding him of the privileges she gained through him. He recalled a night years earlier at Kensington Palace when Diana stood before him, tears in her eyes but resolute. "You don't have to choose between me and the throne, Charles," she said, her voice both trembling and strong. "But if you choose her, you'll lose both." He had dismissed those words back then, but now they echoed like a curse, sharp and inescapable. During his hospital stay, Charles felt betrayed, not just by his wife but also by his poor decisions. In 2023, visiting South Korea became a key moment for the British monarchy. Camilla stood next to South Korea's young First Lady, looking awkward in her deep green gown, while Catherine, Princess of Wales, looked graceful in a simple ivory gown. The media quickly compared them, calling Catherine the jewel of the British monarchy and labeling Camilla the symbol of desperation. Camilla struggled with criticism in her hotel room after she asked Catherine to step forward, thinking it would take attention off her. Instead, the British press ridiculed her for trying to take the spotlight. Later, Camilla summoned Catherine and coldly told her not to wear red at future events, showing her insecurities. At a state banquet, Camilla wore a bold red gown which led to more mockery about her perceived desperation. Meanwhile, a secret report about the situation reached William and Catherine, making them determined to protect Diana's legacy. William's controlled anger set the tone as they prepared to face the challenge with intelligence and dedication. ensuring the monarchy's future. The tape that changed everything. In March 2025, King Charles III was in a rarely used sitting room at Clarence House, facing health problems. A recent medical checkup showed that his cancer, while somewhat under control, was still concerning. He received shocking news from a former palace advisor. Camilla had secretly spoken to lawyers about protecting her financial interests, possibly from royal assets, in case he passed away. This news hurt Charles deeply and made him feel angry and betrayed. The woman he had tried to protect was planning for a future without him, and he thought of Diana, whose love he had taken for granted. He remembered a time in 1992 when Diana had tried to save their family, saying, "I know you love her, but I want to save us." Now he realized Diana's love had been genuine, while Camilla seemed more interested in power. Charles noticed signs of Camilla's growing distance. At a charity gala, she impressed the crowd while he stood alone, with little acknowledgement of his health. She refused when he asked her to join him for a hospital visit, but later went to a gala in Mayfair. Those moments now felt like betrayal. He opened a small notebook and read a painful line. "I chose her, but she only chose the throne." He remembered a warning from William earlier that year about Camilla's true priorities, which he had ignored. Now it was clear. His son had seen what he had refused to face. In anger, Charles called a trusted legal advisor and demanded, "Set up a meeting with the royal legal team. I must review everything, from Camilla's role to my will." When asked if he was sure, he answered, "I've let this go on for too long. It's time to act." He looked at a portrait of Diana and felt her silent support pushing him forward. He knew he couldn't change the past, but he could influence the future and would no longer let Camilla take advantage of the crown. On a sunny May morning in 2025, William entered King Charles III's room at Sandringham with an old leather box. Inside was a surprising find, a cassette tape recorded by Diana in her final days, with a note saying, "For Charles, if he needs the truth." William urged his father to listen, and as Diana's voice played, he felt deep sorrow. "You deserve someone who loves you for who you are, not for the throne. Protect our children." This struck Charles hard, leading him to realize that Camilla had taken advantage of his love, while Diana had sacrificed for their family. Determined, he called in the royal legal team at Buckingham Palace and ordered, "Remove Camilla from all royal duties. Catherine will take her place." The lawyers looked shocked. This was more than just a change in responsibilities. A senior advisor cautioned about serious consequences. But Charles, driven by pain and regret, insisted, "Catherine can represent the family with sincerity and dignity." While his order was to remain confidential, rumors quickly spread through the palace, and Camilla's once secure position began to weaken. Camilla's desperate retaliation. Camilla was determined not to give up. When Charles ordered her to give up her role, she organized a big press event at Clarence House. She wore a royal tiara that showed her claim to the monarchy. However, the media was not interested anymore. Reports called her event a desperate effort of a queen losing her grip, and social media made fun of her for trying to be like Queen Elizabeth. That evening, a tense confrontation happened at Buckingham Palace. Charles called in Camilla and Catherine. Camilla, dressed in black, confronted Catherine and accused her of being just Diana's shadow. Her words showed her fear of losing power. In a simple dress, Catherine stayed calm and dignified and said nothing. Charles looked at Camilla, filled with pain but firm. He said, "Today I choose the light, and that is not you, Camilla." She clearly felt defeated as she left, knowing she had lost the power and heart of the man she thought she had. Back at Kensington Palace, Catherine talked to William about her unwillingness to be part of the conflict. William reassured her that she was doing this for the monarchy and the people. She realized she was becoming a symbol of a new era that represented kindness and duty, values that Diana had supported. Charles's final acts of redemption. Charles knew removing Camilla from her position was only the first step in correcting his past mistakes. He wanted his legacy to show renewal and the values he had lost. In his study at Buckingham Palace, he called his legal team to revise his will, planning to cut Camilla out entirely, a significant decision. He chose William and Catherine to oversee the royal assets for future generations, ensuring the monarchy's legacy was safe. He also set up a charitable fund in Diana's name to support causes she cared about, like helping disadvantaged children, war victims, and those with mental health issues. News of the new will quickly spread through the palace, leaving Camilla searching for support from influential figures from Queen Elizabeth II's time. However, those figures turned away from her, seeing that her influence had faded. Feeling alone, Camilla sat at Clarence House, struggling with her lost power. With shaking hands and a heavy heart, she thought about her sacrifices, but no one could hear her. Meanwhile, Charles tried to make amends by writing letters to his sons, especially William. In one letter, he confessed, "I was wrong to let power blind my heart." He focused on overseeing Diana's fund, highlighting its mission to help those in need. Honoring Diana was his way of bringing her light back. Charles often found himself alone in the Sandringham Library, looking through Diana's photos and reflecting on the values he had lost. Reviving her fund became a way to celebrate her legacy and reconnect with the past. He chose projects for orphaned children and mental health programs, realizing a king's true legacy lies in the values passed on to future generations. William and Catherine quietly received the news about Charles's new will. Their warm sitting room at Kensington Palace felt at odds with the challenges ahead. William believed his father's choice was right, but difficult. Catherine said their goal was not to gain power, but to honor Diana's legacy. Their bond grew stronger as they worked together. Catherine, determined in her new tasks, joined meetings with advisors, inspired by Diana's kindness, pushing for more programs for disadvantaged children. Her genuine approach impressed even the most experienced advisors, who saw that she was what the monarchy needed to regain public trust. In contrast, Camilla felt more alone at her estate in Scotland, facing a decline in support and public interest. She thought about her years with Charles and questioned the cost of her ambition. Public opinion shifted toward William and Catherine. An online movement called #JusticeForDiana began to celebrate her values. Though out of the spotlight, Charles felt encouraged by letters from the public, reminding him of the light Diana brought. As the sun set over Windsor, Charles stood in the garden holding a photo of Diana, feeling peace and connection. He quietly thanked her, believing he had brought her light back for the nation, fostering hope for the monarchy's future.